All right, so let's get started. Today we have an exciting webinar lined up for you. It's my pleasure to invite Mr. Rajesh Srivastava to our webinar series. My name is Rajiv Jayaraman. I'm the founder and CEO of KNOLSKAPE and the author of Clearing the Digital Blur. As you know, KNOLSKAPE has been conducting a series of webinars helping the ecosystem make sense of what's happening around us, right? Both from leading now, essentially the topics that are current for leaders and managers for today, as well as leading next, which is essentially what's unfolding, where are we heading in the next 2 years or so, or maybe longer. To help us understand the new rules of business, we couldn't have asked for a better person. Rajesh Srivastava is an alumnus of IIT Kanpur and IIM Bangalore, and I'm reading out his introduction from his book. He has over 3 decades of corporate and academic experience. At United Spirits, now Diageo India, he played a significant role in creating some of India's most recognized, beloved, and enduring alcohol brands that include McDowell's Signature, Royal Challenge, Bagpiper, Blue Ribbon Duet. He later became the president of J.K. Helen Curtis, where he re-energized the company and the deodorant category by relaunching Park Avenue deodorant as a perfume. Right, so we all have something to thank him for that particular rebranding. Right, became a household category. Since 2008, he has directed his focus towards teaching and conducting corporate workshops. As an educator, he teaches at various prestigious B schools and also does a lot of corporate work with some of the leading brands out there. Throughout his career, his writings have appeared in various publications, including Outlook, The Telegraph, Midday, and so on. And this is his first book, although it seems like this is not his first book. He's been writing forever. That's my impression after reading the book. The timing is brilliant. We do need the new rules of business. The landscape is changing very fast around us. The quality of writing is top notch. It is not just an academic framework, but it is filled with anecdotes of stories that bring the concepts leaping out of the page, right? I think quite literally. So it's a pretty good read. I recommend that you pick it up when you get a chance. The new rules of business: get ahead or get left behind. So on that note, the stage is all yours. Rajesh, take it over from here. Thank you.
Thanks, Rajiv, for that wonderful introduction. I hope the next 40 minutes prove you right. I'm going to give my best shot. So friends, welcome. Thanks for giving me this evening, which you could have spent elsewhere, doing much more exciting things. But I'll make an attempt to make these 40 minutes, or maybe let's say another 45 minutes to 50 minutes, interesting for you, knowledgeable for you. And I'm sure I'm going to, I hope I can add value, right? So let me just share my screen and then we start. Friends, so I want to start off the new rules of business by going back to March when the COVID was just about peaking. Satya Nadella, the leader of Microsoft, he was asked by journalists, and the question that was posed to him is: there is large scale and mammoth pullback, and there's large scale layoff, and there's mammoth pullback in investment. Mr. Nadella, what do you think? Right? This is the question that was posed to him, and I'm sure many of you industry leaders would be facing that question. So let me just restate the question again. There's large scale layoff and mammoth pullback in investment. Mr. Nadella, what do you think? Mr. Nadella looked at the journalist and said a very simple thing. He says, I'm not concerned about the mammoth layoff or the massive pullback in investment. I see millions and millions of people going to work from home. And I see that as a new demand being created with millions and millions of people going to home and working from home. And I want to capture that demand for my company, right? And this, I think, is one of the new rules that I would like to propose to you, that faced with any business challenge, how you view that will define your response. So I would just like to restate: large scale layoff, mammoth pullback in investment. What do you think? Mr. Nadella says, I don't care about that. I'm seeing a large number of people going to work from home. It's creating a new demand for work from home, and I want to see how I can capture it. And you can now imagine, how Microsoft is doing. So I have tried to put this into a framework. And the first rule that I want you to say in 21st century is the art of framing the right question. It's very, very true in our country. The reason is that the education system that we have is that as students, we are never given the art of framing the right question. We are given the question and we are supposed to answer. Unfortunately, that's also true in leadership. Most organizations from the industrial era still follow that principle that there is a leader and everybody is expected to follow his instructions. Right now, the question, the entire strategy is moving with in this current century that we are in. That industrial era is gone. The fourth industrial revolution is upon us, where there is not one leader and rest of us followers, where the concept of distributed leadership has come in, where everybody is a leader. Now, working from home, everyone has to behave like a leader. And one of the art of becoming a leader is to learn the art of framing the right question. Art of framing the right question. And I want to get Professor Einstein into the discussion, because you may feel, it's nice of you to say that. But this is what Professor Einstein said. He said, if I had 1 hour to solve a problem, I would spend 55 minutes in framing the right question. And once the question is framed correctly, the answer is obvious. And therefore, one of the rules that I wish to share with you is, when faced with a problem, don't jump to solve it. Spend disproportionately large time in framing the right question. Coupled with this is the second framework that I want to share with you. And this is very, very important for me. uh, what Satya Nadella did was, he took this entire perspective, the discussion of Satya Nadella. I want to put it into a framework. It's only when you have a framework that it can be applied almost everywhere by everyone. So here, this is not my concept, sir. This is a framework that I have picked up. This is called event, thought, emotion, and action. Now, what happened? The event COVID is the same for everybody. Everybody is facing the same event COVID. But what are the thoughts of Satya Nadella? His thoughts are, how can I capture the new demand that's created with millions and millions of people going to work? Because his thoughts are positive, his emotions are of confidence. And when you have emotion which is of confidence, and when you act out of confidence, you get success. Let me come back here and share this with you. The event is the same, and many of my friends are CEOs. And when I talk to them, this is what they tell me. Oh, my cash flow is jammed. I don't know how to manage inventory. There are no sales happening. I don't know how to meet my payroll. My overheads are terribly high. I just don't know what to do. Event is COVID. Look at their thoughts of helplessness. When your thoughts are of helplessness, what is your emotion? Of fear, of giving up. And when you act out of fear, then what will happen? Disaster. And this is the thing that I want to share with you. Please keep this framework in mind: event, thoughts, emotions, and action. Whatever be the events, thought, emotions, and action are in our control. Like Satya Nadella, if you have positive thoughts, it will generate positive emotion. And when you act out of positive emotion, success. And same event, if you have negative emotion, helplessness, emotion is of fear. And when you act out of fear, you know what? You'll get out. So please remember this as one of the framework that you need to follow. And the question that you need to ask yourself is, today, as an industry leader or whatever position you are in, faced with challenges, what are your thoughts? And therefore, what are your emotions? Do you have positive thoughts or do you have negative emotions, negative thoughts? These are in your control. So this is the first block that I want to share with you. The second block I want to share with you is, I stay in Mumbai. Now, Mumbai had almost a decade back, before Ola, Uber came in, about 55 to 60,000 Kali Pili. We call it Kali Pili, yellow black cabs that you see on your left hand side. This was 10 years back, before Ola, Uber came in. Whichever Kali Pili guy, I go and ask, business kaisa hai? How's business? He says, sir, mera business baith gaya. Our business is sunk. It's just on its knees, right? And I look at them and I look at statistics. Statistics indicates otherwise. What is the first data point? Before Ola Uber came in, there were about 55 to 60,000 Kali Pili on the road. This was for mobility within the city. After Ola Uber has come in, the Kali Pili, the yellow black cabs have dwindled from almost, let's say, 55, 60,000 to less than 10,000, around that figure. But Ola Uber is about 60,000. Now, if you add Ola Uber 60,000 plus them 10 odd thousand, it's 70,000, which means there are more cabs, so to speak, available on the streets of Bombay, and we're doing good business before COVID hit. But when I speak to this yellow black guy, the taxi guy, the local guy, and I ask him how's business, he says, sir, bad gaya, business is dead. But mobility is on the increase, because instead of just 55,000, which was a year back, a decade back, now they are almost 70,000, right? So what is the lesson for us? The lesson for us is businesses never die, business models do. Businesses never die, business models do. The business of local transportation within Mumbai city is booming. Earlier, there were 55,000 Kali Pili cabs. Now there are almost 70,000 Kali Pili plus Ola plus Uber. Who says business of local mobility is dead? The business model of Kali Pili, the guys who were operating Kali Pili, the yellow black cabs are dead. Same case I hear on TV. When I look at the cinema guys, or when I look at this, multiplex guys, almost everybody is saying, my business is dead. My friend, I in Mumbai, I stay at Lower Parel. Very close to us is Palladium, High Street, Phoenix, where there is PVR. Now, before COVID hit us, me and my wife went to PVR maybe to see one movie in 2 months. One movie in 2 months. Now come the lockdown, me and my wife are watching almost 3 to 4 movies, right, every week on Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Hotstar, and you name it. What is the lesson? You ask a multiplex guy, he says business is dead. Business model of multiplex is dead, but the business of entertainment is thriving. And that is the big lesson that I want you to remember. Businesses never die, business models do. Ask yourself this question. When you say my business is under fire, is your business under fire, or the business model that you're operating with is actually under fire, under stress? So what should we do? And I just gave you this example. And here I want to put a structure here. And that is what I call value migration. What is my value migration? Value migration is very simple. For a large moment in time, how did we entertain ourselves? We entertained ourselves through appointment. What is appointment? There was a show, let's say 6 to 9, which PVR was going to host. I bought a ticket, and at the appointed time, I reached the multiplex, sat in my seat, and the entertainment started. So it was viewing or getting entertained by appointment. At the appointed time, I need to be there. What is TV? TV again is entertainment or content consumption through appointment. There is a particular time at which the show will be on. You have to be in front of that screen, literally chained, right? You cannot go out. If you move out, you can't be entertained or you can't view the content. So what is the earlier thing? Earlier thing is by appointment, and you had to be chained, right? Your seat was here, you were chained, and you saw the screen. But come to millennials. What are they saying? I don't want to view by appointment. I want to view anytime, anywhere, on a device of my choice, and even when I'm on the move. So the value has migrated from getting entertained through appointment and being chained to viewing anytime, anywhere, on a device of my choice, and while I'm on the move. So if you continue to operate where the value was, whereas the value has migrated elsewhere, and you say my business is under pressure, under problem, then I think you require to relook. And therefore the next question that you got to ask yourself, and is very very important, are you operating where the value was, or are you operating where the value has migrated? Are you operating where the value was, or are you operating where the value has migrated? Unfortunately, many businesses that are under problem, what they are doing is they're still operating where the value was, whereas the value has migrated elsewhere, but they continue to operate where the value was, and therefore their businesses come under fire. May I request you, therefore, the new rule is close your eyes, reflect for a moment, and ask yourself and be honest. Are you operating where the value was, or are you operating where the value has migrated? That's the third rule that I want you to keep in mind. Now comes Jeff Bezos. I'm not sure, but I think he's the richest man, I think, on planet Earth now by a large margin. I want to share this with you. Why is he the richest? And I would also like to ask this question, and maybe when the session, when I complete my presentation, I would just like to also seek an answer to this question that I am going to be asking you now. And the question is, you think COVID could have been predicted? Could business have anticipated COVID? Could the government have anticipated COVID? Could WHO have anticipated COVID? Why am I asking this? The world's best leaders are those who actually anticipate the future. And once they anticipate the future, they come back and work at it. What is the new thing? The new thing is proactive. How are we? Largely, we are reactive. What does proactive and reactive means? Largely, having worked for 2.5 decades in corporate, I have heard time in and time out my sales guys and my senior guys coming and saying, sir, market में ये launch हो गया है, क्या करना चाहिए, इसका एक version launch कर देते हैं. So we are almost reactive, we are competitors driven. But in 21st century, when competition is invisible, indirect, then how can you be competitor driven? What you need to be is, you need to be proactive. You got to see something which is invisible. And that is the story that I want to narrate. Jeff Bezos in the year 2000, in the year 2002, I'm sorry, what did he notice? Apple was on the ascent. Steve Jobs was taking Apple up and up. And what he realized was in the year 2002 that Steve Jobs had the capacity to blow Amazon out of this earth, meaning just blow it to smithereens. Why? Because he knew my Amazon, and this I'm talking of the early days when Amazon was not the everything store. It was largely into books, right? That's the way it started. And it was largely, its large part of revenue came out of selling books. What was the business model of Amazon? You came on the Amazon platform, you search for a book, right? You paid through your credit card, and the book was delivered in a particular duration of time. Came on the platform, searched for the book, identified it, paid for it, and the book was delivered. It was a simple business model. And he knew that Steve Jobs could come and disrupt this business model and put Amazon out of business. What did he do? He did a very simple thing. He was based in Seattle, and he, being based in Seattle, he said, I am going to pick up a group of engineers and get them to set up their office in Silicon Valley. I want to pick up a group of engineers and put them up in Silicon Valley with one objective, one stated objective, one mission. Let's keep objective out, mission. Mission is single-minded. So in army, mission. In space, you have mission. Mission is single-mindedly one task. No right, no left, no upar, no niche. It's mission. He took these guys, put them in Silicon Valley with one mission. And you know what their mission was? Come out with a product that will destroy Amazon. May I just repeat it? When he saw Apple going up, he knew that my business model is simple. Steve Jobs has the capacity to blow me out, to actually kill me. So proactively, what he did was he got guys, the best engineers, 8 or 9 of them, a few engineers, to set up a shop in Silicon Valley with one mission: come out with a product that can actually kill Amazon. It took 2 years. And before iPad was launched, a product was launched, was created. And you know what that product was? Kindle. Kindle was a product that was designed. Kindle was a product that was designed to kill Amazon. And today, Kindle is the most important armory in the arsenal of Amazon. During COVID times, when physical bookstores were closed, when physical books were finding it difficult to travel and to be delivered, for obvious reasons, Kindle was doing roaring business. What is the lesson for you? In 21st century, you cannot wait for somebody to come and disrupt and destroy you. You have to be proactive. You have to be proactive to the extent that you have to become your strongest competitor and disrupt and destroy yourself before anybody else does, and re-emerge in a stronger avatar at regular intervals. May I pose this question to you? How often have you disrupted and destroyed yourself? Forget destroyed, disrupted yourself. Or are you saying like like some of our automobile companies did in my country from 1940s when they came right till that time their shop shut? They never really forget about destroyed. They never even disrupted themselves. And what happened? They almost went, they've gone out of business. So the question for you is, just because your business is doing well, are you saying nothing can go wrong? Or are you anticipating that something can go wrong and you are taking proactive steps? If Amazon had not taken this proactive step and Kindle was not there in its armory, it would also have suffered just a bit. So the question before you, friends, is, are you proactive? Are you looking at disrupting and destroying yourself and emerging in a stronger avatar? Are you looking at somebody else as a competitor, or do you consider yourself as your strongest competitor and you compete with yourself, disrupt yourself, and emerge in a stronger avatar almost at regular intervals? That's the next new rule. Disrupt or destroy your business as a regular interval and re-emerge in a stronger avatar. Are you doing it? Is the question that you need to ask. Let's come to the next one. And this is called reimagine. Now, one fine day, our country went into a lockdown, and so did the world. GDPs across the world have fallen. Ours has fallen by almost 23.9%, almost 24%. The question is, what has happened to the world and to the countries has been happening at regular interval to companies. Let me give you an example. World War II. Before World War II, car engines, IC, internal combustion car engines, were made out of cast iron block. As World War II raged, more and more iron was required for defense purposes till it came to this one day where the government took a decision that there will be no cast iron made available to the automobile companies. Overnight, automobile companies did not have raw material to make engines. And without engines, the car can't be sold. What happened? Overnight, the heart of an automobile company was taken away from them without warning. What did Mr. Honda do? Mr. Honda quickly pivoted, looked around, and he came out with this idea. If cast iron is taken away, why not come out with an aluminum engine? And when he went ahead and did this, great things happened. Because it was lighter, the mileage improved. The question before you, therefore, is, are you going? So here, COVID came and stopped, right? And the economy stopped. I'm drawing this analogy to business. And here I've taken a Honda example. Overnight, their main heart of the business, cast iron, was taken away. What did the car company do? One person pivoted towards aluminum, came out with aluminum engines, which also led to cascading benefits of lower, it improved fuel because it had to carry less weight. Have you ever asked yourself this question? If the market shifted radically, then what would you do? For example, I worked in FMCG. I was president of JK Helen Curtis, which is into Park Avenue, personal care product like aftershave, fragrance, deodorant, etc. And the question I'd always ask myself, what if the heart of FMCG is removed from FMCG? What is the heart of FMCG? Different people will have different interpretation. My interpretation was the heart of an FMCG, the heart of an FMCG is distribution. That is why multinational companies, which reach into 7 to 8 million retail stores, had a commanding competitive advantage, and startups or new companies never could actually challenge them. Let me just repeat this. In FMCG, I worked in FMCG as the president, and I asked myself, what if the heart of FMCG is removed? What is the heart of FMCG? Fast moving consumer products, distribution, and multinational companies distribute into almost five. I mean, it ranges between 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Almost the best companies reach out through direct and indirect to 8 million outlets. A startup who may have a better product stands no chance because it does not have the distribution muscle. And I ask myself, what if this competitive advantage, this heart of business is removed? And when I posed this question in the year 2002, many people did not take me seriously. What has Amazon come and done? It has taken away the competitive advantage of FMCG companies. If you're on Amazon, you can reach to every pin code in India, provided there's an order there, there's a requirement for your product. What is the question for you? The question for you is, if the market shifts radically, are you waiting for the market to shift radically and then you will come out with a response, or are you proactively making the market shift? You will look at me and say, yeah, listen, it's very, very easy for you to sit here and pontificate. Have you moved the market? And not just any market, a mainstream market. Deodorant. Before me, deodorant was sold as deodorant. The market leader sold it as deodorant. I was the first guy who came and said, I will not sell deo, I'll sell perfume. No to deo, yes to perfume. And look at the explosive growth in the market. As long as deodorant was sold as a deodorant, the size of the market, and this is the year when I entered. So I'm telling you, Euro Monitor report data. 2002, the size of deodorant market in India, was 66 crores, right? 66 crores. Today, 18 years later, it is 6,000 crores, 6,000 crores, 100 times it has grown. Why? I said no to deo, yes to perfume. It radically shifted the market and came out with an explosive growth. Today, you tell me which deodorant brand, including the elephants, including the multinational companies, who can sell unless they say that I've got perfume or fragrance. The market has shifted radically, and this is not the first time. Let me give you a second example. Rajiv, was gracious enough to show my book. In the publishing industry, Rajiv, you're also a published author. I'm trying to change the rules all over again. I'm trying to shift the market. Penguin published my book. Penguin is one of the highest profile, high brand publisher. It publishes one book every day, right? And the kind of authors it has is Shashi Tharoor sir has just published his book, and Gauri Khan will publish it in the next few weeks or months. And there is a guy like me who comes. So forget about me. Let's come. What is the existing rules of publishing? The author is supposed to write and hand over the manuscript to the publisher. Author, write, hand over the manuscript. It is the job of the publisher to publish and sell. What am I saying? I'm saying I'm an author. And my job is not just to hand over the manuscript to you, but not just write the book, but ensure it sells. What is creativity? Creativity is getting the best ideas from outside your industry and intelligently adapting it to the new industry in which you are. I'm in the publishing industry. What was the rule of my earlier industry? Suppose I made signature. Suppose I made signature and people did not drink it, I would lose my job. My job is not to make signature, but to make signature and make people drink, not once, over and over and over again. As a president of JK Helen Curtis, what is my job? Not to create a new deodorant, but to create a new deodorant with which people will fall in love so that they buy it again, repeat purchase, repeat purchase. That is why I'm there. Otherwise, I lose my job. But in publishing industry, the author, the creator hands over the manuscript and the publisher publishes and sells. I'm saying no. My job is not just to write, but to sell. And webinar after webinar, I'm doing certification courses. I'm doing everything in my, let's say, in my control to make sure that the sales momentum happens. Penguin is happy with me. And the result, Penguin has commissioned me to write 2 more books. The next book will be out next year. What is the lesson for us? Whichever industry, and I can tell you, I have worked in alcoholic beverage, I have worked in salt, Captain Cook salt, you would remember. I worked in FMCG, I worked in education, and I have worked in publishing. In every single industry, I have tried to change the rules of the game and shift the market radically. Let me give you education. I taught in IIM Indore for 5 years. 5 years I taught. The starting year was 2008. There, I told the then director that I'm going to use the concept of business storytelling to get the concepts, frameworks across to the students. The director looked at me. He was my friend. He said, this is IIM. Yahan pe Ramayan Mahabharat nahi chalega. Here you have to teach strong framework. I said, I said, Mr. Director, I took his name, but I don't want to take his name because these things. I said, Mr. Director, when I say business storytelling, I'm going to narrate framework through a business telling format. And I told him 10 years later, my students will remember my business stories and may forget the frameworks that you would have taught them. So in education, I started using the concept of business storytelling. So what is business storytelling? Professors, and one other way I change the rules of the game. What does the teacher do? I'm right, you are wrong, I know more, you know less. I went into the class and said, I don't know more than you, let's have a conversation. I'm going to share my experience, you tell me your experience, and together both of us will learn. That's one. And what is business storytelling? When you speak logic, the neocortex part of the brain, which is the youngest part of your brain, which is responsible for logic, gets activated. But when I tell a business story in a particular way, I actually speak to the emotions. And when you touch people's emotion, then they tend to remember things much better. And therefore, the question for you is, no matter what industry you work in, are you following the rules or are you creating the new rules? Let me ask you an innovation index. Take your industry, whichever be the industry. Over the last decade, let's say there are, or last 5 years, 3 innovations took place. How much have you contributed? If you have not contributed, then why are you in that industry? As a passenger, I think you need to relook. You need to anticipate. You need to be proactive and proactively shift the market in favor of the customer. Let's go to the next one. And here I will just take 2 other things. So I'm going to say something controversial. I'm just going to take this. How do women shop? How do women shoppers differ from men shoppers? When I go shopping, I just go and buy things which are comfortable for me. It's comfortable for me. I think that's how men shop. Women actually don't go and shop alone. Mostly they take their friends with them. Why? Because there is an insight that resides into it. The insight is women don't buy dresses for themselves. They buy dress to get admiration and envy. Why do women buy dress? To get admiration and create envy in equal measures. So what do? They will not buy the most comfortable dress, but they will buy that dress which will earn them admiration and cause envy. Therefore, they take their friends with them. Now, how do I know? I go with my wife to shop. And let's say very close in Phoenix High Street in Lower Parel is Zara. In Zara, they permit a woman to only have 3 dresses at a time in the trial room. The trial room is so small. I'm waiting outside. My wife takes 3 dresses, which is very difficult for a woman to choose the 3 best from a store stocked with dress. She goes, she picks out 3 dresses. She goes into the trial room, tries one, shows me, takes my review, tries second, takes my review, tries third, takes my review. And then if none, then she goes through 3 more dresses. And the same is true for women there. Look at the pain point, look at the customer journey. A woman wants to try all the dresses, she can't, limitation. The trial room is so crampy, she can't take more than 3 dresses. Each time she has to get a review, it's so cumbersome. Let's use technology. Let's use 5 or 6 technology, augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, a gesture based technology, because contactless, right? Gesture based technology, voice recognition, and magic mirror. Now here's this woman, and you can do this on a laptop, or you can do this in a physical store. There's a magic mirror here. By dragging and dropping, a woman can almost try every single dress. Now here she's wearing this shorts, but she's wearing a skirt here. The woman drags and drops dresses on her. Whichever dress she likes, she makes a short list and she takes a pick here. This is the camera. Once she takes a pick, the top 3 or 4 dresses she puts out on Instagram and Facebook and asks her friend circle, hey, where do you think I look amazing? Just review it, just rate me. What do you think? Now the friends all over the world on Insta are responding back, hey, you look gorgeous, it's super. Hey, don't take this. She's got the review from the whole world now. One, she's got the review not from 1 or 2 friends who were physically present in the earlier mode of shopping, but her friends across the globe. She chooses that one which has got the best review. She does contactless payments and goes out. And this is the question I want to ask you. Earlier, look at the pain point. It was passive engagement. Now with technology, it is immersiveness, right? So here that was passive involvement. Here there is passive immersion. When the immersion is removing all the pain points. So if you give an immersive experience by eliminating almost all the pain points, then why can't you charge a price premium? But with a caveat, you need to have a digital backbone. And with COVID happening, almost everybody is now willing to embrace a digital lifestyle, including your customers. So the next question is, the new rule is, are you still in the industrial era or are you digitizing your business? And digitizing the business, keeping the end customer in mind and keeping your cost in mind. And this is the last part that I want to say, and then we will have a question answer. Did you see what smartly digitization of business has done? They have converted the customer into an employee. Earlier, when she went into the store, Zara, there would be people who would, show the sizes, do this, do that. There were various people. There was a guy who checked whether you took only 3 dresses. There were people who were keeping the dresses back after they were tried. All those functions are now being done by this lady. This customer has become the employee of, let's say, this store. How much has the store paid her? 0. But look at her satisfaction. Her satisfaction has soared. Why? Because she's tried out almost all the dresses without the pain point. You remove the pain point in the customer journey. And from a retailer's point of view, what have you done? You've reduced cost. Look at the magic. Customer satisfaction has scored, the cost is gone, the margins have increased of the retailer. And this is the next thing. Are you just hiring employees, or are you creating a platform for your customers so that you transform your customers from being customers into your partial employee or full-time employee? That is what airlines have done. That is what almost everybody has done. So I will just, let me just share this. When you digitize, what are the things that you got to keep in mind? I'll just look at the time for a minute. So I still have 6 minutes. So let me do this. So when you digitize the business, when you try and attempt to make your customers into your employees, what should you keep in mind? So let me share the story of a startup. Startups have to give these perks. Otherwise, young guys won't come. So there was this startup who was engaged in the business of weight loss, right? So if you signed up, you were guaranteed to lose weight. Now, as one of the perks for their employees, it said we'll give you breakfast free. And in the breakfast, being a health conscious company, they only kept fruits, oranges and bananas. A month later, the HR guys came out with this amazing data. In every company, there are latecomers. Whenever the latecomers came, what they discovered was that the banana was over and only oranges was left. And these latecomers, when they saw that banana is over, only orange is left, did not have orange, but they went to work on an empty stomach. This intrigued the HR people, the talent managers, because orange is much more tasty and juicy as compared to banana. Then why aren't you using or actually opting for the more tastier option? And when they dug deep, what they realized was that at work, what people require is convenience, and therefore they opted for banana. And why did they not opt for orange? Because it's so messy to have, although it is juicy. What is the lesson for you? If you create a platform for your which will actually seek to convert your customers into your employees, like the banks do, airlines do, or this retail store has done, then what you got to keep in mind is that the platform has to be as convenient to use as banana, and it should be as rich in feature as an orange. Example: Uber. In in Uber, what do you do? It's as easy to use. It does not require new cognitive skill. It does not require new device. In three maybe taps, an Uber comes. It's so effortless. Or Amazon, one click ordering. It is convenient like a banana and as juicy, in features or benefits as an orange. So if you are looking and if you've already digitized, then I want to ask you a question. Is it as convenient to use as a banana and as juicy in features, in benefit wise as an orange? Or is it as difficult to use as orange, messy to use? Then if it is messy to use, then you got a big problem on hand. Now, the next two things I want to say is I've been pontificating here because I no longer work. So you guys will look at me and say, hey, listen, yeah, it's very easy. Tomorrow when I retire, I will also do all this pontification because I'm not responsible. So let me take two businesses which I have been associated and give you a perspective how I would have handled it if I were working. So I worked for 14 years in alcoholic beverage. So whenever you see signature, think of me. I gave that name to that brand. I gave that name to that brand signature. And later this evening, yesterday, whenever you see RCB, the logo that you see there, the earlier logo RC was strategically designed by me in London, and even the lion that you see now that they have changed the RCB mnemonic, that lion was again designed by me. So when you see signature, think of me. When you see RCB, playing IPL, think of me. I played a super role in, in 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 doing some of those things. If I get a chance later, I'll share that with you. So let's start with alcohol. What did my guys say when March came? अरे यार business बैठ गया. Business has sunk, bars have closed, clubs have closed. Now, what is the consumer insight? The consumer insight is in India, drinking is still a taboo. So, large part of consumption takes place out of home in social settings like pubs, bars, clubs, social setting. Suddenly, COVID, we had to maintain social distances, bars were shut, clubs were shut, pubs were shut. So the business fell. And my guy said, alcohol business is dead. But I looked at it in a different way. I said, alcohol business is not dead. Businesses never die, business models do. The business model of consumption in public places in social setting may be under pressure, but the customers have moved from consumption in social setting to consumption at home. They have migrated from social setting to home. And if I need to follow my customer, so the next question is, if I have to follow, if my customers are not drinking in clubs, bars because they are closed and due to COVID restriction, They are consuming alcohol, but at home. So I follow my customer at home. Now, what do I have to do? When I follow my customer at home, I need to do the following thing. Earlier, the pack size was made for home consumption, which was 180, 375, or 750 ml, which were the weight could be carried through friction. You could carry it like this at home. But when you have 180, 375, 750 ml, they are small quantity, they will get over. And if I worked in alcohol business, I wouldn't want alcohol to get over. If someone wants to drink and alcohol is over, I'll lose sales. So I wanted to make sure that alcohol does not get over. So I would then not launch smaller pack size. I would do that, but I will launch bigger pack size like 1 liter, 1.5 liter, 2 liter packs. Now these packs are heavy, so you can't carry it like this. I would put a jerry can handle and carry it. But will that solve the problem? Answer is no. Proactively anticipating, because if some guy carries a 1.5 liter with a jerry can handle and he keeps it on the table like this, chances are it'll fall and the whole floor will be in a mess. So what will be the fear? I'll take this 1.5 liter bottle, carry it home, but what if it breaks? It's in a mess. So I would come out with PET packaging which are unbreakable. So large packs, jerry can handle, easy to carry home, PET packs which are unbreakable. Whenever there's a crisis, people want to cut back on their spends. So people want to spend less. I will come out with refill packs, which is pocket friendly. Now, if I come out with large packs, unbreakable, easy to carry, and refill packs, then why will my sales not happen? And where have I got this idea from? Again, creativity is getting the best ideas from outside your industry. This is from 1960s USA. Coca-Cola company wanted everybody in USA to drink Coke. And that time they had that smaller glass bottles. So they asked people, why aren't you drinking Coke? So they said, we want to drink Coke, but the problem is it gets over. So Coca-Cola said, we'll give you large pack sizes so that it doesn't get over. They launched liter packs in glass bottles and put it into Walmart and other modern trade. Sales went up, sales stagnated, and sales fell down. So when sales went up, they were happy. When it stagnated and fell down, they were unhappy. They went and asked the customer, hey, you wanted large pack, we gave it to you. You took to it, so well. Then why aren't you not doing repeat purchase? And those guys said, you've launched it in a glass bottle, and my kids, when they pour it, it falls from their hand and it breaks. We want large packs, which is unbreakable. So Coke launched it in PET pack. Now, this is the idea that I'm getting here. And Coke sales soared. And I think if I were there, my sales too would soar. Second, I will just take this last example of education. Now look at this education, and Rajiv is largely into education. Will realize, I used to teach in largely outside India in B schools in many parts of the world. Now to do one course which is 18 hours, 18 hours is the course that I used to do. 18 hours of contact time. But I had to spend 10 days outside my home, 10 days, which means 240 hours to do a 18-hour course. Why? I had to travel from my home to that country. There I had to stay there because you can only have, let's say, 3 hour session, right? So 6 days there, going, coming, all that took almost 10 days. So 240 hours, 18 hours course. Look at the waste and look at the carbon footprint that is being generated. Now, with COVID, my education has moved online. I sit and do the same course. Instead of 18 hours, I take 21 hours. No carbon footprint. Look at the saving. And my students don't have to travel and come to a classroom. They can be in any part of the world, and they are in 6 continents, and they come and join me. Today, I'm doing more webinars. I'm reaching out to more people, and I'm saving time. So who says that COVID is bad? For me, COVID has been good because I'm following my customer and all that. So here, I think I will stop here, and I would hand over the floor back to Rajiv. But with these following perspective, I, I think I won't take any more time. If there's any question, Rajiv, I would love to answer.
Thanks, Rajesh, for that insightful presentation. So I'll kick off the question and answer session with a question from my end, and audience, please feel free to ask your questions on the chat window. Any traditional companies that you've noticed in the last 6 months post COVID have applied the new rules that you speak about in the book and have fundamentally reinvented themselves? Any top of the mind examples that you can think of?
Education. Rajiv, education has done it in a very dramatic way.
Yep.
Education. Entertainment. My son is a stand-up comic. His entire business was based on face-to-face contact.
Yeah.
And he felt that his business was tumbling. But do you know something? Now they have actually pivoted and their whole world has become a stage. They can sell tickets in dollars and their business is thriving.
Yeah. Wonderful example. Can we have questions from the audience as well, please? Feel free to leave your questions on the chat window. So, in the spirit of learning and leadership, which is what we focus on a lot, what are some leadership attributes? You spoke about the growth mindset, looking at an event. How do you, have a positive frame of mind and have this growth mindset to think about opportunities? Any other leadership traits that you've seen comes in quite handy to deal with crisis situations like this?
Uh, See, Rajiv, to deal with a crisis situation, we got to anticipate the crisis and prepare our team much before that happens. And therefore, I have come to this firm conclusion that leadership as a concept is out. I don't think we want leaders because leaders, by definition, have one concept that they need to have followers. Leader, by definition, don't exist. They exist only when they have followers. The century that we live in, we don't require leaders and followers. Therefore, leaders have to metamorphosize into something which I called a coach. What is a coach? The coach is, let's say, as a CEO of the company, in the earlier time, I was expected to know all the answers and I was expecting people to come to me with problems. And when they came with problems, I gave them solutions and they went and implemented the solution. So, what did I do? As a boss, I made them dependent on me and they were my followers. But in 21st century, I will cease to be a leader. I will transform into a coach. What is the job of a coach? The job of a coach is not to give solutions. But when my subordinates or when my peers or when my colleagues approach me with a problem, I will not give a solution, but I will frame the right question and pose it to them. When they attempt to answer that question, they will discover the answer. And when they discover the answer, and because it is their answer, the quality of implementation will be better. Their confidence level will soar. And in this way, gradually, I'll transform my company into a company full of leaders. So, my answer is don't do it when the crisis hits you. Start the process today of you first transforming from a leader into a coach and make your company not of leader and followers but a company full of leaders by transforming into a coach. That's my perspective, sir.
That's a great answer. So, I have a question from Padma Kumar. On corporate storytelling, any quick tips to ensure that people don't say, don't give me stories, get to the point? Any quick example will be
when,
useful.
when I tell you stories, you'll be so engrossed in stories that you don't want to look at facts. Can I give you, who was the person who asked that question?
Padma Kumar Anantakrishnan.
Mr. Kumar, if you look at politicians, whether it is Mr. Donald Trump in US or whether it is our Prime Minister, the way they have come to power is through following the strategy of business storytelling. So in business storytelling, what happens is you have to actually pose a rhetorical question whose answer will always be yes. You have to pose a rhetorical question whose answer will always be yes. When can that answer always be yes? When it is in the favor of your target audience, right? So here, let me just give you this small example. If you permit me, sometime I can do a session on business storytelling. So your brain has two levels. One is called the limbic brain where emotions reside, and one is called the outer layer where neocortex where rational things reside, right? So what did, let's say, Mr. President, let's say Hillary Clinton, and we'll not come to India, we'll go to US. What did Hillary Clinton say against Donald Trump? You elect me and I'll bring down troops in NATO, I will bring down unemployment. Which part of the brain Hillary Clinton was speaking to? Neocortex, the rational part. But what did Donald Trump do? He posed a rhetorical question whose answer will always be yes. which is in the favor of Americans. So he says, do you want to make America great again? The answer is yes. Whether you are Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, everyone wants to make America great again. So the question is, do you want to make America great again? You say yes. The moment you say yes, your behavior towards Donald Trump changes and you say, Donald, what do I have to do? He says, vote for me. And this, I'm just giving you a simple technique. So it is not get to the fact, it is how you frame that question, how you frame the narration that will define whether people actually buy that or they tell you to get to the facts.
Great, thank you. I have a question from Galileo. A while ago, you discussed about being proactive and anticipating the future. Can you share how we can have the ability of anticipating the future?
Oh, reverse mentoring. Reverse mentoring. Reverse mentoring is one of the easiest way. Go and talk to people in your organization who are young. They will tell you what the future looks like. For example, if you come to my house, I was not into social media, but when I started, my son is a stand-up comic. When I started engaging with them, I realized the power of social media and I got onto it. So the basic thing is this. The second thing is what Jeff Bezos does. What does Jeff Bezos? What did he do? He looked at the biggest threat that he could anticipate, Steve Jobs, and he then stepped into the shoes of Steve Jobs and said, "What would Steve Jobs do to destroy me?" And then he came and did it to himself. So there are several techniques here. One is reverse mentoring to understand which way the world is going. Second thing is look at the industry leaders and see if you were them, then what would you do? So for example, let's say if I were KNOLSKAPE, what would I do if I were in Rajiv's position? There will be several techniques, but I would say if Steve Jobs was alive, how would he disrupt my business? If Elon Musk decided to get into education, what would he do differently than what I'm doing? And the moment he steps into Elon Musk and Steve Jobs' shoes, he will see a different way in which they will anticipate the problem, they will frame the question differently and come out with it. That is what I would suggest to you. And number three, the best way that I have anticipated the future is I have never looked at competition. I've always looked at the customer. And what I have done is looked at the customer, looked at the existing best solution that the customer has at this point in time, and understand the pain points from the existing best solutions, and then come out with a new technique solution to eliminate the problem that they have from the existing best solution. So when you follow some of these techniques, you can see the future. And then of course be in company of people better than you. Let me give you this example. Many of you have heard, like if I say 3D manufacturing, all of you would know. But if I ask you, what about 4D manufacturing? Anyone? Can you key in your answer? Do you think what is for 3D manufacturing? And if you know that, what is 4D manufacturing? Anyone? And this is what is happening, that in 21st century, the rate or the pace of change is so fast that you need to be in company of people better than you. Then second law of thermodynamics will come in. Energy will flow from hotter object to less hotter object. So from knowledgeable people, it will flow to you. This is the other thing that you got to be in company of people better than you, right? And there are many other things that I can share with you.
Great. We have just a couple more minutes. I just want to ask you this question. While we spoke about a lot of these new rules, are there rules that will stand the test of time, right? Rules that we need to hold on to, even despite all the changes that are going on around us?
Rajiv, the rules that I have mentioned, so there is in life, there's something called virtues and there's something called fashion. Honesty, truthfulness, hard work will never go out of fashion. All the rules that I have mentioned are actually literally virtues. You have to respect your customer. You have to respect your employees. You are in the service of not making a better product or a better version of a competitor product. You are in the business of helping customer achieve their goal. You are in the business of always improving yourself. So the point that I'm trying to say is that the new rules that I have mentioned are literally virtues. They will stand the test of time. And you can take any of the rules. In fact, I will just take be an admired leader. And in that, the basic concept is what? What is the job of a leader? The job of a leader is not to create followers, but to create other leaders. And the title will change. The leader will become a coach, but the concept always remains the same. These
Great.
are
Thank.
virtues that I have discussed in the book.
Sure. That was a great answer. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for participating in this webinar. That was an exciting 1 hour that we spent with Rajesh. Thank you so much, Rajesh, for sharing your wisdom with us. Presented extremely well with a lot of anecdotes, just like the book. Right, I felt like I was reading the book one more time. So yeah, I strongly recommend that you pick it up. I'm sure you'll benefit from it. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us. See you again in our next webinar. Thank you, Rajesh, once more.
Hey, thank you, Raji. Thank you, KNOLSKAPE, for giving me this opportunity, guys. Thank you for giving me 1 hour, that too, of an evening where you could actually enjoy signature. So go ahead and enjoy it, and when you sip it, remember me, guys. Have a good time, be safe, and all the best. You need anything, I'm there. Thank you so much, Raji. God bless.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.